This show is called Extra Connections, and what I love is that I get to connect with all people with all walks of life. And this person is kind of, in a sense, like I am. He's a multi-hyphenate. He does many different things. I love meeting other people who are like me, who are overachievers and have success. I love that. When I read bios, I'm actually going to read it backwards. Like, how are you going to do that, James? How are you going to read that backwards? So I'm going to start from the bottom of his bio and go way up because I have a connection to the bottom of his bio. See, let's switch things up. So he says he is a devoted father and an avid an outdoorsman, hunter, skier, water stuff. But this is the part that got me so much. He is a Cincinnati Reds baseball fan, a Cincinnati Bengals football fan, and a Kentucky basketball fan. And I have to tell you something. So I've spent many years flying into what I call Kentucky Airport. So if you fly into Cincinnati, you have to go into Northern Kentucky. They're right next to each other. I've
Yep.
been to Bengals games many times. Once in a tornado, that was like fun.
Ooh.
And I love Skyline Chili. I'm still trying to get Skyline Chili to sponsor my show. Come on, Skyline. Come on, Skyline, sponsor my show. He knows about Skyline Chili. So I'm starting from the bottom there. But then go back to the top. Yeah, he has so many different companies that he's running right now and is in charge of, and doing, including he is the founder and chief visionary officer of Wellnesse. We can talk about what that is. He's a founder of Rewild Gear, and he's the legacy co-founder of WellnessMama.com. So he's all about health and wellness. I just want to get his pictures. He has a great smile too. Help me welcome Seth Spears.
Thanks, James.
That's your intro. So you have a great smile. We don't say enough
Thank
about that.
you.
You have a great smile. We're gonna make sure to tell him.
It's an underrated characteristic.
I think so. Well,
Yeah.
seriously, a smile can either get you into places,
Hmm.
people will talk to you, feel comfortable. I mean, seriously, that's one of those things. It's a smile,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely agree.
I wanted side of before we get into the serious stuff. I'm a huge Skyline. I really am a huge Skyline Chili fan,
Yeah.
and so everybody likes it out here. People
Hmm.
try to like. It's not what you think. It's more of a soft thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I brought it to California, Seth. I single-handedly brought it here, and Amazon Fresh stores carry it because of me.
Amazing.
Because I kept ordering it so much online. The manager, the one was like, "You're the guy with the SKU that you create the SKU to keep creating it." So when I go into the actual brick and mortar stores, wherever I go, I can buy my Skyline chili.
Amazing.
So thank you,
So
Cincinnati.
I actually prefer Gold Star to Skyline.
I know Gold Star. I've had that too. I know Gold
Yep.
Star. I
Good
do.
stuff.
I like both, but people don't realize it's not the kind of chili you think people think it is out here. It's a different. It's more of a sauce.
Cincinnati chili. Yep.
It is. Has a little cinnamon in it. It tastes
Yeah.
good. I had it on tater tots the other day, so
Oh,
that's nice.
interesting. Yeah.
Try
So
it.
a lot of people don't know Cincinnati chili. It's has Greek origins,
It does. It
and like a
does.
lot of people, they think of chili as like a Texas thing or something, but Cincinnati style is quite different, and I love it.
I do. My ex was Greek, so I had 13 years of Greekness.
Ah, okay. There
Tecanis.
you
I know
go.
I know the words, everything. I know. He started with that egg, trying to get it, and the old ladies would knock me out every time. I know Greek stuff. I do. But that's what everybody. So when I took that person to Cincinnati, like, oh, I know. My grandma made this kind of thing. So that's when I was like, oh, it has Greek origins. I had
Yeah,
so
nice.
didn't know that. First of all, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Because you have certain things. So, folks at home, he was kind of to send me products, and unfortunately, I can't show you. My background's a little crazy, but he gave me a little packet of stuff. I'm gonna try to show you some of this stuff. I'm gonna tell Seth first a couple of things that I really enjoy that I've been using.
Great.
I've been bad. I've been kind of going back and forth. I love the cinnamon toothpaste.
Hmm.
I like the fresh mint one too.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
I like both of these. So I've been using them both back to back. And I gave my daughter the charcoal one, and she loves it. She's been using that one. And then you helped solve a problem for me. I for some reason, under my arms are very sensitive. They've
Hmm.
always been. Nowhere else. Everywhere else is fine. Under my arms. So there are a lot of deodorants I can't use.
Yeah.
This one I can. This mineral deodorant, this aloe and driftwood, aluminum free. I can use it.
Great.
So send me more. Just kidding. I like this,
All right.
but seriously, this like it's. I don't think I don't have any rashes or itchiness. And I was like, oh, like okay, and it smells good. It smells good. I really like
Yes, it
this.
does, and keeps you smelling good all day.
It does. And Now I got a lot of hair underneath here. It's all
Mhm.
hidden right now because it's not done. But he also has a shampoo and a conditioner. And I have been using these and it does work. It makes your hair feel a little tingly, like it's working. Like I put it in because I have a lot of thick hair,
Yeah.
and so I put it in. I was like, oh, it felt like it was doing something. I put shampoos, conditioners in my hair where I'm like, okay, it's in there. Like, you feel like it's just covering and coating your hair,
Yeah.
not doing anything. But I use this with my after products. I use these with my after products, with my own stuff, and it
Mhm.
works fine. So I just want to tell people this was coconut and citrus, which I would never put those two together. And I was like, okay,
Yep.
I like it. So I just want to tell you just off the bat, these are products that I like.
Great.
Um, the first question is, you're in an industry that's saturated with 10, 100 million, thousand people thinking they got the best products on earth when it comes to oral care, health, hair care, all that stuff. What, how did you overcome that to go into this kind of business?
Great question. I've been in the health and wellness space for many, many years. In my bio that you read earlier, I was the co-founder of wellnessmama.com, which is a very popular blog, website, podcast in the health and wellness space. And so we had built an audience there, a very large audience of moms that were very ravenous about healthy products. They only want the best products that they can for their family. Because, like moms, they're the keepers of health. They're the keepers of a lot of things in society.
Yes, they are.
The wallet, the pocketbook, all of that. And so they make those buying decisions. And we had tutorials on how to make your own personal care products. And the audience really liked those products, but they got tired of making them. So when you hear the same requests over and over, will you just make these and sell them? Then you kind of realize that, hey, there might be something to this. So it's just one thing led to another, and just realized that there's an opportunity here, and let's go for it. So I
So
started the company
basically,
in 2020.
so basically, what you're saying is you built an audience from scratch,
Mhm.
and was grassroots. You listened to them, and that's
Yes.
why you're in the business.
Very much so. There's other businesses that I've been involved with where I was just trying to scratch my own itch, or I thought that there was a need in the industry, but had not built an audience first. And that has been a much larger struggle than build an audience and then sell them something, because they're going to tell you what they want, as opposed to you try to tell them what you think they want. Although Apple's done a pretty good job over the years of telling people what they want, even though they don't know it. But they're kind of an anomaly and quite a bit bigger and already have an audience as well, too.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. And I have that on my Apple products. Um,
Same.
they got me. Well, I went to one of the first computer camps in 1983. I was
Oh,
14 years
wow.
old, and they made me a lifer. So I've always,
Wow. So you've been an Apple guy for many, many years.
yeah, a few years. I mean, I'm only 25.
There
I
you
was,
go.
yes. But no, but your point is, I say this all the time, is in my business of media and stuff. They go, why are you successful? I go, because same like you listen to the people. It sounds like to me you listen to the people, and
I
that's
attempt to.
well, I mean,
Not
see it work, right? But I'm saying on some level, they were saying you could have been like, no, you make it yourself. We're not going to go into that.
sure.
You could have been easy, like I'm not going into that space. But you were like, they're all saying this, so you heard them.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the biggest differentiator, though, because there is so much competition, is just trying to create the best quality products possible using the highest quality ingredients. So Wellnesse, we're a B Corp certified brand of all natural personal care products, and primarily in the oral care space. And so everything that we do, all the products that we create, we use the highest tongue twister. We use the highest ingredients that we possibly can. Everything is non-toxic, all natural. And we try to use everything that is just completely healthy and beneficial for you. Because what you're putting on your body, you're putting in your body. What you're putting in your mouth, all health starts in the mouth. So the toothpaste that you're using, all those products, they better be good for you. Otherwise, you're adversely affecting your entire system and you're increasing your toxic load. And that's what leads to sickness and all the health issues we're experiencing today.
Was that the hardest part then, though? I mean, we might say, starting a business is always, it's a journey. But was the hardest part going, okay, I want the best stuff. I want to make sure it's all good. Like, was that nerve-wracking? Was that hard?
So the formulation process, it can be challenging, yes, but because we had already created products like in the kitchen and figured out how to make them from scratch, so that wasn't as hard as someone that didn't have a background in it, that wasn't doing that already. But then once you're going commercial and not just making it at home, you're making toothpaste in a jar, like a little mason jar, and dipping your toothbrush in and brushing your teeth with it in the bathroom. It's a little different when you're going commercial and it has to have shelf life and stability and in a tube that's squeezable and things like that. And that's why when we took it to market, we worked with a co-manufacturer who has formulators, like professional formulators on staff, and they go over all of this with us to make sure that it actually it'll work. It's efficacious, and not gonna be any stability issues, and so all those things that can come up. So it's a process, but there's a lot of people in the industry that can help quite a bit when you're going into it.
I like the packaging.
Thank you.
It's I say this with the biggest respect. It's nice and simple.
Mhm.
It's sleek. And to me, it's also unisex.
Yeah. Our goal was we weren't trying to make it for men, for women, for children. It's for
Yeah,
families
yeah, like
because, healthy products, everybody needs that. And not to say that we won't pivot down the road or we won't tweak it and improve, because I think from a branding perspective, you're always making changes and doing things just to hit the largest audience you can or that particular audience who you're going for. But primarily, we're designed for families because everyone needs healthy products.
yes, they do. You say you started in 2020.
Correct.
Okay, so we're talking 2020 as in pandemic 2020, as in lockdown
As
2020,
as
as
in we
in
launched January 6th of 2020. So just, a couple months before the world just blew up.
yes, I started this version of my business. As you said, we always evolve in May of 20 in March 2020. So I basically
Okay.
kind of the same thing. And so I'm gonna ask you though, then, because you I think on some level, because you are a shipping out product, I guess, like kind of an
Mhm.
ordering product, you must have did pretty well then. It must have been fine for you guys, or was it tough in the beginning, or how was it?
So it's hard for me to answer that question because I don't have any comparison since we launched
Oh,
right around COVID, just like a couple months before. And so we were launching to our own audience for the other business that I had. And then we worked with some affiliates and other people to help promote and grow it. So then everything blew up and pretty much everything was just online and not in person. And,
yeah.
we weren't in retail. So I don't have a basis of comparison as far as how we would have done if it wasn't for COVID. We've done very well over the past few years and we're continuing to grow at a nice clip. But I can't say how we would have done if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. So it means it's good. I mean, you actually came in the space and it was already ready made. I mean, it's almost ready made because
Yeah.
the world kind of shut down. It was like everybody was ordering online. They were all
I
going on.
mean, we had our inventory in place, and so we were in a good position. It wasn't like we were dealing with any of the supply chain issues that a lot of other companies were, with stuff coming from China and otherwise. I mean, all of our products are made in the US, so we don't have those issues anyway. We did have a slight issue early on with some of the components for it. So we used to carry a dry shampoo. It was in
Oh,
these,
yeah, okay.
yeah. So we discontinued that like a year or so ago, just because it didn't sell as well as we would have liked. But it was in a cardboard tube, kind of like the deodorant tube, and you would like shake it out on your hair and like brush it in. Um, but so we're very into sustainability, and so all of our packaging is compostable. And so to get those cardboard tubes, those were coming from China, and so it took a lot longer to get that in. So we had to pivot, and we couldn't launch that when we wanted to, which originally we were planning to launch that in like April or May of 2020. So we had to push that out to like August or September of 2020, just because of the increased time frame. But instead, we pivoted and launched a hand sanitizer. So obviously, hand
Oh,
sanitizer was blowing up. But here's the thing: like a lot of people, like, oh, you're just being opportunistic. The truth is, we had this formulated and we were planning to launch it in 21, but we had to pivot. We pushed it up because we had the components, we had the formulation, and we had all the ingredients. And like, oh, well, there's a big need, so we can just launch that now. And so that did really well. So
I see.
our
I don't see it's opportunistic at all. I feel like it's because you're already offering products in a similar space. Why
Mhm.
not have that option too? And it is needed. People do need it.
Yeah, exactly. And we formulated that specifically with extra ingredients so it wouldn't dry out your hands. because, everyone is putting so much hand sanitizer on all the time. Your hands are drying out and it's just like, it feels awful. So we put some extra ingredients in there to kind of help with that.
See, I don't look. I look at it as I was smart. That's all I look at it. I
Yeah.
was like, you might as well, because I mean, in some ways, you want to be the one stop shop for these type of products. You
Yeah.
must have everything. They go, oh, they have that too. Perfect. I'll grab that and put that in the cart. I got
Hmm.
that. So I got hair. We got oral, hand. We're good.
Yeah, exactly.
All at once. I love. I didn't know. I love that. So what is one of the things since starting this business that has surprised you? It could be in a good way or a challenging way that has surprised you.
One thing that has surprised me when starting the business.
Yeah, this business.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many things.
Please tell me. Well, tell me. Tell me.
Yeah, there's been a lot. I've been surprised by how well our toothpaste is done. Like our mint flavored whitening toothpaste,
I told you it's
that
good. I'm
that's
telling you, it's good.
that's our best seller. I mean, we use there's no fluoride, there's no glycerin, there's no SLS. We use microhydroxyapatite, so it helps to remineralize your teeth. Um, I've been very surprised by how well that's sold in comparison to the other products, just because it does so much better. That's definitely our hero product. That's one thing.
Love it.
Um, the amount of questions that people will ask about every single ingredient, about the sourcing and the packaging and everything, people really care. They really want to know what is going into their products, and that's good. That's important. But just the level of some questions that people will ask, they take it to like such an extreme. It's like, I have no idea like what mountain that this ingredient was sourced from. I'd have to ask our co-manufacturer to see where they're sourcing it to get. So,
Right.
you have some things like that it can be a little shocking at times. But I mean, I think overall it's a good thing because people they want to know where stuff is coming from because they really care about their health.
So tell me about Wellness Mama first of all, because that is kind of the genesis of all this, the
Mhm.
beginning. So tell us about that. It was a website, a blog. What was it exactly?
Yeah, so I started that with my ex-wife back in 2009. And so I ran a boutique digital marketing agency for several years. And so I used that website as a testing ground for my paying clients. So the agency that I had was called Spears Marketing, and we focused on web design and SEO and social media marketing. And so I convinced my now ex-wife to start a blog in the health and wellness space just to document her own health journey. And she was a journalism major in college and gone back to school for nutrition. And so she was researching and trying to figure out healthier options for our family. And so we were, pretty broke at the time. And so making products from scratch at home just because they were healthier and less expensive than just going to Whole Foods or wherever and buying stuff. And so that site grew and grew and became the most popular health and wellness website and podcast for moms. In its heyday, it was getting 10 million page views a month. And so it grew that for many years. That became the primary business that I focused on. And then Wellnesse kind of came out of that just because I mentioned before, we had tutorials on how to make your own personal care products. And so um, launched that in 2020, and then shortly thereafter the marriage fell apart, and so we ended up divorcing and separating out the companies. There were always two separate companies, but so now I run Wellnesse and she runs Wellness Spa, and so yeah, things of life has moved on.
Yes, no, it's that's very cool. I mean, it's all the time. You never know when you start something, you never know where it can go. And people, and I also want to say, with your products, it also hits parts of the country that may not have a Whole Foods or
Hmm.
a or Ulta Beauty or what. Like just like some I've been to some rural parts of this country where they have just have Walmart. That's it.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're giving them quality products. They come straight to where they live.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, there is a lot of rural areas and places throughout the country where they don't have organic options, whether that's food or products. And so they are limited. And, there's a lack of knowledge in a lot of areas too, because people had just kind of gone down the same path that their parents did. And they just assume that if something is on a store shelf, then it's healthy, that the FDA has approved it, or, that it's just good for me. But that's not always the case. You got to do your research. You got to figure out where are these products coming from, who's behind it, follow the money trail, and just to make sure that it actually is something that's good for you.
I have friends who are like, I just use soap on my face. And that's it. I'm like, that's why it's a mess. You said,
Yeah.
look at other stuff. I mean, what kind of soap are you? They use this regular old soap like this, like because he said 'cause they got that they learned that from their parents and grandparents,
And
um,
advertising.
and advertising.
I mean, Procter and Gamble invented the soap opera
They did, yes,
just,
they did.
yeah, just to sell soap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's where we're getting our information. And that's
Yes.
continued to happen and perpetuate for many years. You know, like speaking of the Cincinnati connection. So growing up, I would be at my grandparents' house in on the west side of Cincinnati, and they always had Pert Plus shampoo and Dove, or not Dove soap, Dial soap.
Dial soap. I remember dial
Yeah,
soap.
yeah, the yellow bar. Yeah.
Oh
So
yes.
so the green bottle of Pert Plus and the yellow bar of soap. And so that's what they always had. And growing up, I think my parents they used that for a while. And then my mom was really into health and so started buying more natural stuff. But because of that, we typically make those purchasing decisions based on what our family did. And so it's really an unconscious decision. I did an informal poll of some friends and family a while back just to ask them what personal care products that they buy. And they all said just whatever my parents bought or whatever my wife buys. And it's you don't think about it. It's just like it's there on the shelf. It's what's on sale. It's just what I'm used to, and that's what I'm gonna do. And so unfortunately, we don't really think about or ask those questions. We don't think about that. Where are these coming from? Is this good for me? Why am I buying this? It's just like an unconscious habit. So I think anytime we can wake up and really start questioning those buying decisions and where is this coming from? Is this good for me? Is it not? And not just continue to do things that we've always done because that's what we've always seen in the past.
I agree. And talk about men, especially, it started luckily in the last 10, 20 years, men's health skin care starting to happen and hair care starting to happen.
Yeah.
Uh, but you're right. I still know a lot of men who are like, yeah, the wife buys it, the girlfriend buys it, or whatever. I just kind of, I'm like, well, do you like it? Does it actually work for you? Like, you have a different skin than she does, or you have different hair than your kids do. Like it's not you're just using the same shampoo. So I'm glad you're out there trying to educate people. Like really look into what you could use for your face and for your hair and for your teeth.
Yeah. There's
Thing.
no there's no one size fits all. We're all so genetically different, both in
Yeah.
our health, our biology, our genetics, everything. And so the oral care, that's one thing that like our mouths don't really change. The pH can change in the mouth, but
Right.
that changes day to day based on what we're eating, what we're drinking, etc. But our hair is very different. Our skin is all very different. And so just using something because that's what was recommended or someone else used, that's probably not the best option. You need to really figure out what is best for you, what's going to work best for your skin type, for your hair type, etc.
So I have to ask you though, because you're into. Have you always been into health and fitness for yourself? Have you always been that way, or did it come to you later? Or how's that been for you?
I grew up in a family that was pretty health oriented. My mom, she was a family nurse practitioner and then retired when I was born, and then kind of went the more holistic route from there. She started researching into health and wellness. And so, I mean, she was using homeopathic remedies and essential oils and stuff when I was in junior high, high school, etc. So I'd always been around that. And my family's always been very active, playing sports, working out, fitness. And so that's always just been part of my life is just constant movement and being healthy and, eating healthier and looking at the products that we're using. So, and then when I first got married, I kind of passed that on to my now ex-wife. And that's kind of what led into getting into the health and wellness space.
Are your kids healthy like that? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, very much so. They're super active, play a lot of sports. They're very conscious of what they eat, and they'll be at a birthday party and they might have like a piece of cake or something, but they realize that hey, all this sugar and artificial ingredients and things are not great for me, and I may not feel so good, but I'm gonna have a bite now, and but that is gonna have an effect.
you have both sons and daughters, or do you have just
Yep.
son?
Yeah, so I've got six kids. My oldest is 18, my youngest is 9, two boys and four girls.
What? I don't see that nowhere on your bios. You have 6 kids
Yep.
and ranging 18 to 9.
Yep, I was married for 16 years.
You guys are busy.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I'm
but
good at a
okay,
couple things.
yeah, I'm like, how'd you have time to do business? Wow, okay, that's you said what you said 2 boys, 4 girls.
Yep.
I can't say I had 2 girls and I thought I'm done. I'm tired. I couldn't even
Yeah.
imagine anymore. I have 5 grandchildren right now, and I'm tired from that.
Wow.
Like I can't, but they're not even with me all the time. You have 6. I mean, that's amazing. That is totally amazing. So you have girl. Okay, so I know the girl stuff. So the
Mhm.
boys.
Mhm.
So do you think anything will follow into your footsteps in this, or did you see
You know,
anything?
yeah, who knows?
Okay.
I do my best to try to encourage entrepreneurship with all of my kids.
Okay, I was
Like
wondering. I was
I
asking that.
want them to think outside the box, to question the status quo and look for opportunities because the world needs more entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, an entrepreneur is a problem solver. We see a need in the market and then we're trying to solve it and fix it. And that's what we need more of today. So I'm definitely encouraging them to follow in those footsteps as far as to be an entrepreneur, to question things and to solve problems. And what that may look like in their own life, I have no idea. And I'm not necessarily trying to push them in any one direction because I want them to do what lights them up. I think it's really important that if we can focus on what we're good at, what we enjoy, and where there's a need in the market, that's where we're going to be the most fulfilled. That's where we're going to have the most success, and that's where we'll life will just flow a lot easier if we do that. So I'm always encouraging them to look at those areas and whatever that might be.
This question just came up for me as you were talking. What what is one mistake you think entrepreneurs make sometimes, in your opinion, that you've seen or you've made yourself?
I mean, I've made every mistake under the
I mean,
book.
but
Yeah, yeah,
like,
so many.
when people ask me stuff like that, so I'm
Mhm.
going to ask you because you're successful. You know, what is one that you see happen that just oh
Well, it's something we talked about earlier, where not building an audience first or just going into something, um, because that makes it a lot harder. So if you have an audience and then you can sell to them, that's going to be a lot easier. So I think that's one thing. Um, Probably maybe getting overconfident and thinking that you have all the answers, not doing the market research to see if there really is a need for this product in the market. That would be another one.
yes,
I think there's so many.
yeah.
It's hard to say what's if there's
No, I'm just
one
curious
that,
for a couple. But I want to,
yeah.
I want to piggyback off of one of your answers. I think it's a really good answer. There are people who don't build an audience. They just
Mhm.
don't. They just again back to not listening or whatever. How do you differentiate? Because when you begin, sometimes you'll go to your friends and family first,
Yeah.
and they may not respond in ways that or may not care that much. So it's like just do what you gotta do. I don't care, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and I had to find a way for myself to not rely on them. That they're not my audience
Sure.
really. My audience is out there, right? So I'm like, so great. How did you? What was your experience with that when you were starting out?
So, have you heard of the concept of building in public?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that anytime you can put out there what you're working on so that you can start to slowly build an audience, because it's like that saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. The more
Yes.
information you put out that and you're showing what you're doing, what you're passionate about, you're going to get people that are interested and are going to follow along.
Yeah.
And I've always just coming from a marketing perspective, it's easier to start like at the base level and work your way up. And so what I mean by that is when you're getting started in something and you're creating and you're sharing that in public, start off by sharing with your family. Start with your friends, those people who have a vested interest in you because they care about what you're doing. They may push back, they may question it, they may say you're crazy or you shouldn't do this, or why don't you follow the safe path and just get a job? And
Yeah.
that's okay. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you're going to have to overcome a lot of adversity. And that is the nature of any endeavor that is worthwhile that you're going to do. And so that's building up that resilience muscle also. So I think by doing that, by putting it out there and sharing it with family, with friends, they'll start sharing it with their family and friends. And that's how I think you can build that organically and start to grow an audience. And that could be as much as just like writing about what you're doing, whether that's on social media or starting a blog or a podcast, and just sharing it in some capacity and getting feedback and both positive and negative. Because we don't just want to talk into an echo chamber and just be surrounded by yes men where people are saying, oh, this is so great, you're going to crush it. Well, that's not helpful. But you also don't want nothing but naysayers where people are just telling you, oh, you have no idea what you're doing. This is terrible. There's no need for that. You need a balance of both to really leverage, to balance it out for what you're doing.
But like what you just said, it's building up your resilience because I tell
Mhm.
us all the time. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of no's. You're going to hear a lot of your crazies. You're going to hear a lot of why would you do that?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
or any variation of that, those words. You're going to hear them when you say you
Yeah.
want to start something, and you have to kind of. I like that you're when they do that, you're building your. If you really believe in something, you should just continue going forward, obviously.
Mhm.
But you're building a resilience to all the other stuff.
I think one of the biggest challenges we're facing today, and the current generation, they see entrepreneurship as this shiny object and like, oh, I can be an entrepreneur, I can do this. And they see Shark Tank, like, oh, these people are getting funded in this. And that's doing such a disservice because that's not reality. This is not how it goes. You're going to hear no more often than you're going to hear yes. You're going to get kicked, you're going to get knocked down, and you better get comfortable in the uncomfortable and build that resilience muscle because most people on the outside, they're just seeing the sexiness. They're like, oh, look at this, or getting an award or making sales or all this. But they miss those 10 years where you're pushing and fighting and growing and doing whatever you can in order to get there. So there are no overnight successes. It's all just doing the right things long enough consistently in order to get there where you finally hit a level that you start seeing some success.
I agree with that statement completely. And that's where we'll start to wrap this up because that's a great way to that's I believe in that wholeheartedly. I've been in this business for almost 20 years, this part of
Wow.
my life. And so I'm seeing successes now that are happening. And I'm like, yeah, some of it took 20 years, some took
Yeah.
5 years, some took seven. And then when it hits, right? It hits. And
Yeah.
that's kind of, but like what you said, it's like, well, I was consistent the whole time.
That's what you have to do. And I think that is the biggest challenge that most people face today is the lack of consistency because they come up with a little bit of adversity and then they're like, oh, this is hard. I'm out.
And so now, where are you based? You're based in Cincinnati, right? Or are you based in Kentucky, right?
No. So I'm actually in Colorado.
So in Colorado. Okay, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
middle of the country. You middle of the country still.
Yeah. I split my time between Colorado and Florida. So I grew up in Kentucky and then my mom's family is all from Cincinnati. So I spent
Yeah.
quite a lot of time there over the years and I've traveled all over and been
Well,
across the country quite a bit.
my thing, why I bring it up is I just want to tell people you can start something anywhere. That's kind of the point is that you can start a business anywhere.
Mhm.
I have people I work with who are from rural Indiana or rural Kansas, and they've started something successful. But you don't have to be in a big city to do this. Now with technology and everything, you don't have to. That's why I also
Yeah.
want to bring that up. And I mean, Colorado's a pretty popular state and everything, but it's in the middle of the country.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful state. I mean, I've been there many times. Beautiful state. But I kind of like that. So like you started this whole thing from somewhere that wasn't one of the huge cities that's out there.
So yeah, I mean, getting started with Wellnesse when we launched, I was living in Florida at the time. So I've only been in Colorado for a couple of years now. But it really wouldn't matter because everything is virtual. It worked just online. And there's pros and cons to any location that you live in. In one aspect, it's a lot easier just when you're getting started if you're in a more rural area where the cost of living is less,
Yeah.
because then there's the financial considerations. But that said, in those more rural areas, you're probably not surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs, with other people that are doing things that you want, where you're going to get inspiration from, where you can bounce ideas off. So, there's a pro and a con to all of it. But then those bigger areas where you are around other like-minded people, it's probably more expensive too. So there's a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm in LA, so you know how that is.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I mean, today it's sunny. It's gonna be like 70 degrees.
Yeah,
This is
nice.
live here. That's why I pay for it. That's why I live here. But I'm gonna ask you this question. It's like, so how does Seth replenish himself and stay mentally healthy um,
Mm.
in the workspace? Like, do you have a team of people? Not team, but do you have people that are like minded that you can talk to?
Oh yeah. There's a couple things that I do. I've been actively involved in several different mastermind groups for over 10 years where we get together a few times a year and bounce ideas off of each other and talk and converse and share experiences and best practices and things like that. And most of those are in person, but there's some that are virtual as well. So I do that. But then also one of the things that has really been a game changer for me in my own mental health has been kind of in the biohacking space. And that's doing a regular sauna and cold plunge. So I do that almost every day, where I go sit in the sauna for almost an hour every day and then cold plunge and do circuits back and forth, about 15 minutes in the hot and then 3 minutes in the cold. And that is a game changer for my own mental and emotional health. And it's kind of how I reset. And just then after that, I'm just ready to go again.
So I have not. I know a lot of folks do the cold plunge, and I feel like that old man is like, "You guys are crazy." But I will tell you this, Seth Spears. There was 4 days we had no hot water. We had to get a new water heater. It just took some time
Mm,
to get it and all this stuff. So my brother and I both, I'm close to 60. And my brother's right behind me. And we started to take showers. And I was like, I guess I could go to the gym and like take a shower there or whatever. I was like, I was home. So I started taking I took cold showers for 4 days.
nice.
And he did too. And people were like, it was kind of refreshing. I tell people out there, I'm not crazy. I'm telling you, it was kind of refreshing. Take a cold shower. I was more awake in the morning,
Sure.
ready to go to work and do this is my work, but my eyes were more open. Everything was open. And I felt kind of more alive on some level. I will admit that doing the cold shower. Now back to my warm showers. But I will say, this whole cold plunge thing, I mean, I can see a piece of how that is something for real.
So I one of the things with the cold, it's that mental side because like it's building that resilience muscle. And I've heard The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, talk about this where he takes a cold shower first thing in the morning. And he said that if the first thing that you do is taking a cold shower, you're practicing that resilience muscle. You're doing something hard first thing. That makes the rest of the day easier because,
Oh,
we wake up and we want to be comfortable and just like feel warm and cozy and have coffee and then go get into the day. But if
yeah.
you start with something that is going to be a little bit more challenging, then it's like, oh, I got this. I can overcome whatever is thrown at me. Because, life is hard. The one constant in life that all humans share, the one experience is suffering. It is challenges. It is the hard things that we go through. And so if we just coddle ourselves and like, oh, everything has to be nice and cozy and warm, that's not the reality of life. And we can try to sugarcoat it and say that it is, or that's how it should be. But shoulds don't make the world happen. It's like if it should, then it would, you know? And so it is practicing that resilience muscle and doing those hard things that helps us to overcome and become better. And then that makes a lot of life easier by doing
I want to be you when I grow up.
that.
You're good. I can talk to you forever. You're great. I've been looking forward to this. We were supposed to do it earlier, but we had the fires here in California, and we're dealing with
Yeah,
that. And they might have said my roof collapsed, but this was totally, completely worth it. Thank you, Seth.
totally.
You made my day better. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, so this is your channel. I'll put everything in the description below, of course. But
Mhm.
I want you to be able to say where can they find your products, the company you, if they want
Yep.
to talk to anything, where can they go ahead and promote?
Sure. Well, if you want to learn more about me, sethspears.com, and I've got links to all my social media there and the companies that I'm involved with. Wellnesse, that's WELLNESSE.com. So wellness with an E on the end. And like all of our social media is linked there as well. And those will be the two places.
Yeah, follow him there. I'm following him on social media. I'm following the company. You got to follow him, and see what's going on. Side note before we go, any new products on the horizon? Are you developing anything, or is it right now, or what's going on?
Yeah, we are looking at some new products in the oral care space. Nothing that I can talk about yet because we're still kind of in the R&D phase. But that's our bread and butter. 80% of our business is oral care, and so we're leaning into that very heavily.
I love it. I do love the toothpaste. I'm telling you. And the probiotics. I didn't mention those either. He has probiotics. They're good too. Folks, I'm James Lott Jr., of course. You can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are at James Lott Jr. everywhere. I'm everywhere, folks. A lot of help.com is my website. And if you're afraid to reach out to him, you just want to talk to him or something or whatever about wellness or whatever, find information, you can contact me and I'll vet it through and we'll see what's going on. And some folks just get nervous, they do. But he is here for your health, for your healthcare needs. That's what we're here for, to make a better health. And I'm so glad we were able to connect with him today. Extra Connections on Facebook, and we'll talk to you next time.